Hi, I'm Andrew,
Hi, I'm Joy.
and welcome to the Joyfully Golden podcast. Hey, Joy, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Cannot complain at all. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks to LEBB516 for this sweet setup we got with the dual mics and different cameras. So those of you watching today, we'll put his info as a link in our description. And let's go ahead and get started with today's podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joel, for making us look good.
Absolutely. So today we're talking about being the reason someone smiles.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Well, Andrew, both you and I think most people can attest to the fact that there's so much negativity in the world. I mean, anywhere you look, it can be on TV, on social media, on the street. I mean, there's so much darkness and so much just negativity, such a heavy negativity going on. And when I think of being the reason someone smiles, I think being the reason why for 5 minutes, for 2 minutes, for a few seconds, someone can be, even though trapped in this negative world, see a little bit of a reason why not to think about how things are, or not to be so trapped with all that darkness and negativity, and to find an escape through a smile. Because when I think of smiling, I think of the reasons why people smile, right? Because we smile when we're happy, we smile when we're content, we smile when something pleasant happens to us. And I think, what if I can be those reasons for someone to feel those things and express it through a smile, right? Because like when I think of a smile, I think beyond the smile, not just the action of smiling,
right,
but I think of the underlying feeling behind it. And I feel like there aren't enough reasons for people to smile with the way things are going, and with just how hard things are, in the life of some people. And I think we need more and more people that can be that, that can walk around the streets, go to schools. Well, I guess not go to schools anymore, but that can be the reason for someone else to smile in all the different networks and all the different places where we get to be. And I think that's something that should be, I think the world will be a very different place if a lot of people thought of how they could be that for someone else. How about you? What are your thoughts when you think of that?
Yeah, I think that it's, when we're talking about being the reason that someone smiles, it could be something small, whether it's your husband or your wife or your kids or your parents if you are the kids. And really, it's something simple, whether it's just a smile, if it's a friendly greeting, doing something nice for someone, listening to someone when they come home from work, how their day was. I think a lot of time we will get wrapped up in what's going on in our personal lives, whether it's through work, the things we do, maybe how other people treat us outside. And we come home, and it's hard when we internalize that negativity, and then it's expressed maybe outwards. Maybe your wife comes home and you're like, I'm having a bad mood. It's like, well, it's not her fault. Or maybe your husband comes home and it's like, well, where were you all day? And it's like, well, it's not his fault. Or maybe the kids who are at home social distance learning, and they're like, we just want to be outside with our friends, and it may not be their fault. So sometimes it's not really anyone's fault for how we feel, but we have the ability, and I think a responsibility, to be the reason to avoid negativity. By being that reason someone smiles, it may be, I don't really have that energy right now to listen or be really invested in what it is you're trying to tell me, but I'm going to let you talk because I know that's important to you. Or good. I'm going to spend that extra time with the kids, or I'm going to, do those dishes, or I'm going to cook tonight because you've been cooking all week, And these little tiny acts of kindness that we can do for one another makes an impact. Now, that's just kind of really talking about like the home life, family, and anything like that. On the other hand, when I'm thinking about, your day-to-day, your colleagues, your peers, when you're working with other people, you have this great experience. Like when I'm at work, I have people from all different walks of life, from different backgrounds, that are all working towards a common goal. My big thing is the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. That's what I strive to live by. Because no matter how anyone directs their energy and attention towards me, I know that if I treat them how I want to be treated, that's only going to help with positivity.
Oh, wow.
Because the negativity that people have, all it really does is just destroy us. It serves no other purpose than to destroy.
That's good. That's really good. I wanna ask you a question, but before I do, I want to invite anyone listening and everyone watching really to think about this with us by discussing why it's important, or why we should even be thinking about this idea of being the reason why someone else smile, right? And I think what I want you to or what I will ask you to do is to give kind of like a reason why you think it's important. But before that, I want to share for me personally why I feel like it's so crucial for us to not only talk about this, but actively engage in a process of finding out how we can be that for other people. And one simple example, because this happened to me, very recently. So I injured my leg, right? And
I heard.
Yeah, I injured my leg, and so I've been hopping around in crutches, and it's been rough. It's been hard and all that. But an example of someone being a reason for me to smile was I called my parents, right? Because they got to know what is going on. And so I called my mom and I told her, Mom, don't worry, did not freak out or anything like that. But I injured my knee and I cannot walk. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I was expecting her, to freak out and all that. And she kind of did. I guess she did. But this is the part that really got me. I was very nervous, obviously, because it could be something serious. It could be something that takes me out for forever. So I was down. I was a little stressed out. And at no given point, she had, or at least in the way she was talking to me, at no given point she pushed on the fact that things could get worse. The entire time, she was hammering on the fact that things were going to get better. And so I would start sentences like, I don't know, it might get worse. And she'd be like, no, don't even say that. It will not. You will get healed and it will get better. And I'll be like, yeah, it can be up to, a few months. And then she'd be like, no, that's the worst case scenario. It's going to be better. It's only going to take a few weeks. And just with that little intentionality in being positive and in keeping me positive, she was able to be the reason for me in that moment to smile. And like, not just figuratively, I literally smiled in the conversation because I was like, this is incredible, And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important to talk about this, because it's real. It does affect people. Because if that conversation had gone, or if I didn't have that conversation, who knows how much trapped into the worry I would have been, or how much scared I would have gotten myself. Even though right now, as I'm healing, I'm realizing that it actually is not as bad as I thought it was. And so I would have been freaking out. I would have been stressing out. And probably, it would have affected my health. It would have affected how I would have treated other people. But she was able to cut that line of negative repercussions by being the reason for me to smile. And so this, for me, is the reason why we need to talk about this, because it's real.
Absolutely.
It affects people. And like the examples that you give, like literally by being the reason why somebody smiles, you can be the reason why 10 other people smile.
Yeah, because the kindness, it expands. Exactly. It expands. Yeah.
And so that's, for me personally, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about, today's subject. So just to hear your side too. What is a why you would like to share with the audience as far as how this is important to you,
So for me, there was a time when I was in Boy Scouts. I was in a National Youth Leadership Training, or NYLT. We were up at camp, and there was this kid. I was a patrol counselor. I was one of the staff members. And he was just having a hard time adjusting. You're gone a week, 8 days. Sometimes it's those kids' first time away from their parents that long, and he was having a really tough time. And I thought, I've been there. And people are like, oh, come on. And it's all boys. It's all guys. It's like all these guys. And the year prior, I was like, man, this was really hard for me. But I went through it, and it was such a great program, such great leadership and speaking opportunities and teamwork and exercises, that I knew that this kid was only going to benefit by staying if he could just get over that discomfort. So I took the opportunity. And I pulled him aside and said, like, hey, I hear you want to go home. I said, okay. So, well, we can't go home right now, So in the meantime, I mean, if you have to go home, I'm not going to force and keep this kid here. But I said, well, what would you do if you weren't upset right now? And he's like, well, I would do this, or I want to participate in that, or have a skit idea. And I just listened to him. And we took the focus of I want to leave and I'm upset and focused on, well, if you weren't upset, because you clearly are, but if you weren't, what would that look like?
Wow.
And I was able to shift his focus to something more positive. And he stayed. And it was great. And it was a fun camp experience for him. And I think everybody else in that unit. And it was me just being able to, because I could have just been like, yeah, you know what? It's too hard. Let's go. That's no. It's it's normal to be scared. It's normal to feel uncomfortable. It's normal to have bad days. It's normal to be frustrated about things. That's part of the scope of our range of emotions. But it's also our ability to recognize that in other people, or even especially in ourselves, and then choose to not focus on it.
Ooh.
To choose that even though there is this negative experience that I have, I'm going to focus on something positive. And you could just have a relentless day of negative after negative, get up late, rush to work, get a speeding ticket, someone ate your lunch, you got yelled at by your boss, and you get home and the house is a mess and the kids are upset and your wife's angry. But I can guarantee it. The positivity, it just expands. It just constant positivity. It will get better. It's sometimes days are bad, but don't lose the heart, because there are these little moments where we do something kind, whether it's the person when we go to a restaurant, somebody we walk by, even when you stop at a stop sign and smile and a wave to the people crossing the street. Or a compliment like, hey, I like your shoes, I like your shirt, I like your hat, or I like your mask. That's really artistic because we're all, wearing masks when we're outside. But just, it costs us nothing. And I think that's the bottom line. Being kind really costs you nothing. Being kind to people who are mean to you may be a little more effort. But being kind, especially to strangers, people you aren't going to see, you could just be nice. Wow. And it'll to this day, when I was a kid, going to Pismo to see my cousin. It's me and my brothers and my cousin, my mom and my aunt all in the car. We were going to the beach, and this dude walked by and he's like, hey, Jesus loves you, man. And I was just like, that is so cool.
Cool.
It's this cool surfer dude, all tan. He's like, Jesus loves you, man. And I was like, and that sticks with me 23 years later.
Wow.
And that's the impact. So if we think about how positive things can help us, imagine the negative things that we're holding on to. That can have been stuck, where someone maybe had said, well, you're not good enough. Or somebody said something that maybe they didn't really mean, but you never reconciled. So with everything that's going on, with the challenges that we face day to day, it's kind of this conscious reminder that doing good isn't also just something that's nice to do, but it's almost like it's necessary. Because the opposite of good, evil is the absence of good, basically. So when we're not being kind, what are we being? And when we're indifferent, it's almost like being negative.
That's good. That's so good. That brings me to another point. Wow, that was a lot of good things. Oh my goodness. But I love the example that you gave of pretty much someone being on a negative side of that equation. And I guess I kind of want to talk to the people who feel like they're listening to this, right? They're listening, okay, this sounds good, but they feel like because there's so much wrong that has been done to them, they don't feel like they're in a position in which they need to be the reason why someone else smiled. They're waiting for someone else to be the reason why they smile, because they're like, I'm not smiling, I'm not feeling good, I'm hurt, I'm broken, or all these different things. They feel on the other side of the spectrum. But there's a quote that came to mind. I love, this is one of my favorite quotes. I love quotes. But it pretty much says that happiness is like perfume. You can't spread it on someone else without getting few drops on yourself. And that quote just messes with me, because it is so true. And I've actually tried, just because I read it and I was like, that's interesting. So I spray a little bit of perfume just in the opposite direction. And sure enough, the air just carries a little bit back on you. And it's so real. Different cultures, different practices express that in different ways. But I think we all have a certain basic understanding that good just goes around if you put it out there. And it might be hard to quantify, it might be hard to explain sometime, but so many people wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't true.
Right.
And so I guess I just wanted to, I don't know, I just felt in my heart to just encourage someone who feels like I'm in a place in which I don't think I can be the reason why somebody else smiles. Like, I need people to be the reason why I smile. I need people to be the reason why I'm happy, why I'm getting better. But I just want to tell that person, and I guess tell myself too, for the times when I feel like that sometimes with the pain that I may be feeling, with the hurt that I may be feeling, if I find the strength to be the reason why somebody else smiles in spite of that, to be positive for someone else in spite of that, somehow, some crazy way, it comes back, and I start feeling better. I start coming alive, and I start healing in that process of giving. Because like Jim Rohn says that like giving starts the process of receiving, and it's so true. Because like with this topic and subject of being the reason why someone else smiles, I guarantee you, and you know this, we've talked about this before, but if you find the strength to push against the negativity or against all the urges to be mean, to be in your corner waiting for someone to come and be good to you, to go out of your way and be the reason why someone else smiles, be the reason why someone else is steered in the more positive light, I guarantee you, I cannot explain how, but it comes back. And you will start getting back those drops of positivity, those drops of happiness, those drops of healing back your way as well. And I think it's also a good way overall, just as a people, as a culture, to also shift a little bit of focus from ourselves and start looking a little more outward as well,
Right. I like it.
But yeah, no.
Reminds me of Gandhi's famous quote. Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Nice.
Because when things go wrong, as Les Brown says, don't go with them.
Oh, that's a good one.
Sometimes if things aren't working out for me, I can at least do something nice for somebody else. Because sometimes I'll get stuck on a project or a process or something I'm trying to work on, and maybe I haven't found a way to move forward on that aspect. So then, well, what's something I can do? What's a way I can feel productive, or what's a way that I can feel value in this day? I can go say something kind to my mother or my father, or call a friend and say like, hey, like, I miss you. How are you doing? And doing something for someone else when we're stuck. Because sometimes it's like we're hurt or we are upset, and it's like, yeah, somebody owes us. It's like, well, here's the thing. Nobody owes you anything.
Oh,
no one owes anybody anything. Really, nobody owes me anything. Nobody owes you anything. But what we owe to ourselves is to realize that we're responsible for our lives, for our happiness, and we have the ability to be a positive addition to everyone else's responsibilities for themselves by being a positive light, by sharing the positivity on this podcast, by being able to welcome people in and to work together as a team to go beyond just ourselves. Because the moment you start doing things outside yourself, then you're having that lasting impression and impact.
Absolutely.
That stays with other people even after you're gone.
As we wrap up today, I just want to leave the audience with, I think you probably touched on all of these, but some of the main things that I want you guys to just stay with is, one, just you being here is a reason for someone to smile. So don't feel like you have nothing to offer, because first of all, there isn't another you. So the fact that you are here is a reason for us to smile. And anything you do, anything you say, anything you choose to do and choose to say can be a reason for someone to smile. You just got to go for it, and you just got to mean it. You just got to want it. And with the little light, or for you, the little tiny light that you think you have in you, you can brighten someone else's life, and you can literally make this world a brighter place just by being you and by being a better you. So thank you for this conversation. Thank you for this topic, and for everyone who listened and watched. It's always amazing for us to get to share our hearts and with people. And as we move forward, again, we always say this: we're gonna find more ways to get you guys involved, so you can talk with us and participate in the live sessions. But until then, feel free to leave us comments as far as any topic you would like us to talk about, or anything you would like to add to this, because that's the bottom line. We don't know everything. We're not experts. We speak from our experience, from what we know. But there's more practical ways in which we can be the reason why someone smiles that you guys know that we don't. And we need those to become better versions of ourselves too. So please send us messages, write in comments, however you want, but let us know, because we're in this journey together. And as we put ourselves out here and we invite you in, know that you have a place in this journey that we all on. And I think we've expressed that time and time again, but we just want to keep learning how to be better humans, not just for us, but for other people too, because we truly believe that doing that makes this world a better place.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys for being here with us. Thank you for listening, for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Stay joyfully golden. See you next time.